This conference will now be recorded.
All right, the time being 4:46 p.m., I'd like to call the meeting of September 9th, 2021 to order. Before we get started, if you are joining us virtually, please mute your microphone during the meeting unless you want to speak. Otherwise, background noise will interfere with the meeting. Just to let the record show that Eni Forrester is present, Pat Constantino, John Scanlon, Eric Pyra are all present from the board. Scott Ruggles is on his way, and Joe Jessman will be unable to attend this evening. First thing is Pledge of Allegiance. Flag of the United States of America. Thank you. First, move the minutes of September 2nd, the public minutes of September 2nd, to the floor for discussion, or should we? Yeah, I was gonna say we can table those and the non-public until we have a full board. That up next, Kevin Duvall. Look at that, you just moved right up. Don't jinx it, John. Don't jinx it. How you doing, Kevin? Good. You enjoying the liquid snow? Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's right. Oh. No, my goodness. Thought it was me. No, you have to press, no, press the button there. There you go.
Green light means
There you
go. Okay. Mm-hmm. So everything's going well. Guess it's working.
That's good.
The new hire is doing well as well. No issues with him. He fits really well with the other crew members. See, we started hauling some yard waste to the property in Gilmanton this past week. I think we got 3 loads over, so that's working out well. I have started working on my budget with Tim, fine tuning some of the numbers for that, so we'll be ready to present that soon. The crew has been working on roadside clearing for all the ditch lines, all the brush, to get ready for the snow season and line of sight issues. They've been doing multiple areas throughout town. There's some areas that we had to bypass because of large bees nests. So if you're driving along and you see a section that hasn't been done, probably because of that, which we will have to address when it gets colder, just for safety reasons. When it gets colder, they go to sleep and we can deal with them safer. I met with a tree company today concerning the trees at Soldier Monument, and he's supposed, it was Arbortech. They're supposed to generate an estimate and get it to us tomorrow. I'm meeting with Tall Timbers, and we'll get an estimate from them as well. So that project is ongoing. John, did you get a chance to see the extra trees on the island that I had marked?
Yeah, those would not include the ones that he recommended to cut.
Okay.
There was some other pruning at this time, and especially his concerns were that depending on what happens with the island and redoing it to maintain the roots.
Okay.
And that we should look into start planting some trees too.
Okay, so those additional, not
Yeah.
just prune the
Just
dead stuff
prune-
out?
Yeah.
Okay. Good, that
Yeah.
clarifies for me, so awesome. I wanted to mention that our PTO situation is under control this year, and we shouldn't have a surplus at the end of the year. So that'll be nice going into not struggling, having to get these guys time off so that they don't lose it at the end of the year. I wanted to mention my goal for work this year was the sidewalk on Main Street was to be done, the south side of Main Street. We wanted, we've run into some hiccups in that construction, not hiccups. I want to say we want to adjust the width of the sidewalk. So that's going to involve a curb company to come in and reset the curbing. So that compiled with electrical conduit in the sidewalk, it just, there's a lot more logistics involved with getting that project done. And this year, the effects of COVID is still very real with contractors and getting supplies and things like that. So I've had to adjust my time schedule for that. So next February, I'll be sending out the RFPs to get all that work lined up and completed in 2022. The next issue that I wanted to mention tonight, I was supposed to purchase a sidewalk machine this year, and still trying to push forward with that. But the estimates that I got last year, cost-wise, are out the window. This year, to give you an example, the trackless machine last year was $105,000, completely outfitted with the equipment that I needed. It was $105,000. This year, it's $156,000. So I've been working with Tim on some options to be able to still purchase it this year, trying to either find a slightly used machine that might be a little bit less expensive, or to find the money in the budget somewhere to purchase it new. Obviously, it's more money than I anticipated, so it's just going to take some ingenuity and some thinking on Tim and I and yourselves as well, if we were to go forward with that, which I would like to. We're really getting at the end of that, the other machine's lifespan, and I foresee a failure this winter if we have a bad winter.
Is that
I don't see the nexus for that, Pat. I'm certainly willing to ask the question, and I will, but knowing what I know about the ARPA funds, not sure that would qualify, but I will check into it.
Public safety, because he has to do school sidewalks and stuff.
I'll
like
check
that.
into it.
Do you anticipate seeing that price come down maybe? Or I know things never come down, but I know a lot of things are overinflated right now because of shortages.
Because of shortages. When I spoke to the salesman, he didn't give me that impression. He just said that was the cost of it now, and that pretty much that I had to deal with it. So just to give you some more information, the other machines that I was looking at, one was it's called a multi-hog, and the estimate on that was $185,000, and that was outfitted the same as the trackless. And the other one was a holder, I believe, and the holder was right in the 105 to 155,000, but it didn't have the safety rating as the trackless. They have rollovers, and they have They don't have a good safety rating. Let's just put it that way. So I was pushing for the trackless because they are tried and true, and we have working experience with that machine as well.
Can we go out of state? Would it be cheaper? Have we explored that?
Going out of state, I have not explored that. Trackless, for the trackless machine or for other machines?
trackless.
For trackless. I don't believe that's possible because the company that I'm dealing with is the dealership in New Hampshire for trackless. I'm not sure if we can go to another dealership.
I don't see why not.
We made it
I can definitely,
territories.
I can definitely check into that. Absolutely.
So like if you went to New Jersey or someplace
Mhm.
like that or something,
Oh, I could definitely check into that.
have it cheaper.
But that also could be more expensive as well.
Could be.
With
You're
sales tax
absolutely right,
issues too.
because then you
Yeah.
would be pickup and delivery, all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
I get it. But $50,000
We
is a
go
lot
ahead
of
and
money
It is
to,
a lot of money.
could we make
And
that up if we went to New Jersey, picked it up, or
I mean,
Connecticut and picked it up? You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying?
sure. No, we're still definitely in the figuring out stages of this, so we can definitely, I just wanted to give you a heads up that it wasn't forgotten or that I'd put it to the side. It's still ongoing, and
I mean, Concord still has theirs and they're going over 30 years with their trackless. So, I mean, it's a
oh
good,
yeah,
it's a good brand.
yeah, this is an investment that I foresee 25, 30 year machine. So
What's the turnaround on ordering, like from the point you order till it's, on your door?
he wasn't able to tell me,
Oh.
which is a scary thought.
So, I mean, you
We
could order
theoretically-
it tomorrow and it may
It's
not be here until
next year.
February.
The only good part about that is that we would have it locked in at today's price.
Right.
It's no next week.
But it's something that
Lucky one.
it's something that I'm running into across the board. Vehicle parts, supplies for just for my everyday logistics.
What happens to, because that money was put in there on a warrant article, correct?
Mhm.
For the purchase of that?
The reserve money, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what happened, like, if December 31st comes and goes and we haven't placed an order yet, we haven't encumbered those funds, what happens to those funds? They just stay into
I
that
believe it carries
account?
over to next year.
Okay, so it's not like it, that I only say that because we did something in the fire budget a couple years ago where we put 100,000 in, and at the end of the year, it, oh, hi, Tim.
I
I think you can answer that question.
I was just going to say the funds are in a capital reserve account held by the trustees, so nothing will lapse. They remain there until such time they're used. So there won't be any issue with that.
Thank you, Tim. Are you, I meant to ask you earlier, you mentioned staff. Are you fully staffed now?
I am not fully staffed.
Still
There's
short one?
still short one person.
Any prospects?
Nothing yet.
What type of person you look for, a skills set,
Um,
like plow or?
Plowing experience would be nice, but not as important as just a person that's willing to show up, work hard, and just learn. That's what I'm really looking for, somebody that we can train and invest some time into, and somebody that'll be with us for a long time. So if he has the ability to have a DOT card and to get his CDL license, absolutely, I would like that, but it's not as important as just the work ethics and the ability to just follow directions and work with the crew.
Or she.
Or she, exactly.
Do they need their CDL now, or is it something they have
So,
some amount of time to get? 6 months, a year, or whatever.
so they don't need to have their CDL because we have our trucks that are under CDL classifications.
Yep.
I am asking for some extra money in my budget this year to put 2 guys through school next year to get their CDL license. I have 2 prospects that I'd like to invest in for that. So this new hire does not have to have a CDL. If they choose, or if they show interest in it, I would definitely, if they show interest in it and it works out well, then I would definitely invest in more people with CDL licenses. There's a whole level of responsibility and mindset that goes along with that.
We still have 2 trucks, correct? Or is we just have one? that need
CDL
a-
trucks?
That need a CDLA.
We still have 2 trucks,
They need an A or a B.
just to be licensed. We have 1 truck that's able to tow the 10,000 pound trailer. Once you hook it up, you're now in a Class A CDL license classification, which is why I want to put at least 1 person through school next year.
And
So
do
that
we
we-
have somebody with the CDLA except you?
I don't have a
You
CDL.
don't have
I don't
an
have
A?
an A license. No, I have a B. So right now, if we were to move our machine to a job site, I would have to outsource it.
And how many do we have with CDLBs?
Just myself and Peter.
If as Scott said, it snows next week, could you handle a snowstorm with your current staffing, or
Absolutely.
would there be any service shortfalls?
No, not at all.
Okay.
No, my new hire has 12 years of experience from Northfield.
Yep.
And then
They're mostly dirt roads over there, aren't they?
they are mostly dirt roads. So he's
Tough ones.
Yeah, he's going to enjoy it working for Tilton. But all of the rest of my crew are seasoned guys now. Last year, one of my crew members was new last year, and he made it through the season without any issues. He did very well. Yeah. So, yeah, I have all the confidence in the world in the crew. If it was to snow tomorrow, we'd be all set.
I'm just going on his forecast.
No, it's all good.
Just to let you know.
It could happen. It absolutely could happen.
Let the record show he called it.
1 game into soccer season for me.
Yeah. What else has happened? And anything else in the world of the highway?
No, just we started picking up the new Franklin Apartments AC units this week. We have until the 15th to remove the remainder. So that's happening. Just starting to slowly prep for the snow. I mean, I'm going through all the trucks and all the plow equipment, things like that. So no, everything is running smoothly. There's some speculation on if this COVID stuff is going to spike again, and we're going to have to make some adjustments. But we'll just have to wait and see and deal with it accordingly.
Purple bags.
Mhm.
How are we doing with that?
Good.
It's about to start up, right?
We started.
You
We already started. Yeah.
Okay, how's that working?
Good. Yeah, we haven't had much pushback on that at all. We set up the sign a couple weeks ago to inform the residents, and it's like all the changes that we're doing at the transfer station, people have really embraced it. So I think it's doing very well.
I've been down there a couple times. It flows really nice.
Mhm.
There's no jam ups, and it's very easy for residents to go and put the things in the right places.
Mhm.
And plus with the ramp, and while the guys are down there, they can see what they're doing up there.
Mhm. Yeah.
They can see,
Yeah.
it's great.
So we still have a lot of work to do there, but one step at a time. So I think we're headed in the right direction. I did notice that we do have an increase of income from that. That at the end of the year, I'm hoping we'll have some good numbers reflecting that as well to offset the cost of the dumpsters.
Which is what we wanted.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
So
Course,
the
not such.
enforcement of the residency has helped.
It has helped.
That's good.
Exactly. I would still like to pursue the dump sticker change to incorporate the license plate of the vehicle. And that is in the immediate future, hopefully.
That'd be good.
Just one more thing to try to streamline everything going on at the dump.
So if you had
at the trans-
multiple cars, it would go with the license with that vehicle.
Yes.
You'd still have the registration. It'd be
Mhm.
several registrations that still would have the address.
Mhm.
That would fix multiple cars in the family.
Exactly.
I have two questions, if you're done. Sorry. If, that's more of a policy question, I think, but if John goes down there, John Smith resident, goes down to the highway, down there on a Saturday, got some big stuff, and the guy helps him. One, is he allowed to help him? There's a trail I'm going here. So John just has like a lot of stuff in his car, and it's heavy. Maybe John, the resident is maybe a little elderly or just something, and the guy is nice and he wants to help the guy throw something in the dumpster or something like that. Are they allowed to help, or is that a workers' comp issue?
As far as I know, we're allowed to help, and I encourage the guys to help, especially if somebody comes in that might be a little challenged with either the weight of whatever they're dealing with or the amount of stuff that they have to throw away.
So now John wants to tip the guy for helping him.
They're not allowed to accept tips.
They're not
no.
allowed to accept tips.
No.
Been that way for years.
Yeah, no, and it
No.
was just someone asked me, how come they're not allowed to accept tips? And I
Oh.
said that's just the practice they've had for years. I didn't know if
Yes.
there was a way,
I have run into that in the past, and I tell people if they want to show appreciation that a cup of coffee or a box of donuts for the crew, something that the crew can share
Altogether.
would be appreciated. I don't think that crosses any lines.
I think that's a good morale thing. Someone just brings in, a box of Joe and a bunch of donuts, and maybe
absolutely.
from Brothers, maybe not from
Or fresh fruit.
They appreciate
fresh
it.
fruit. Yeah, we want these guys to be healthy. Fresh fruit, some pineapple fruit tray, cheese.
Well, it's a
pepperoni.
good question because it's a question that gets asked a lot.
Mhm.
How they can do it, even particularly in the wintertime. You
Mhm.
get that question. As a selectman, we get that question. How can we help? Because they're out there in the cold, plowing our streets. How can we help? Well, drop off a box of Joe or something,
Mhm.
to the guys.
Yeah, we do have a resident that likes to bring a platter of sandwiches from Subway
Oh, hey.
to the guys once in a
Okay.
while.
That's good. That's a good.
So
a
that's
good thing. I do it where I work. I go to Market Basket. I bring a bunch of goodies for the housekeepers just to increase morale. My next question would be, I don't have a dump sticker. I can't get to town hall most days. Now that we're back at town hall, maybe I can. But how would I go about getting a dump sticker if I can only show up on Saturday?
We have them at the
You do have
transfer
them on?
station.
Okay.
The guys are supposed to be checking credentials before we hand them out.
If we go to the system where you wanted a registration on the dump sticker, how would you hand them out at the town dump then?
We wouldn't. It would be streamlined
That's
through the town
streamed,
hall.
Okay.
Exactly. That's just to keep the check and
In that
balance.
scenario, you would be out of luck. You would have to find some way.
Well,
To
I have a
intentionally
child
want
that
to
I can
go.
send to town hall
Yeah.
to get my car registered. So
You can mail in.
yeah, or do the mail-in one. I was just curious because I have some stuff
Ask
to
your neighbor to bring one home or something.
pack. Can you run? Thanks.
Oh, I wasn't talking about me.
Oh, thanks. You said, but you have a neighbor, but I guess.
Talking about the other half.
Oh, all right. No, I was just curious for my own, because I have some stuff I had to start breaking down. All right. Anyone else
Any
have
other
anything else
questions?
for Mr. Duval?
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
It's
Fall's coming up. It's going to be a busy one, but
You think you'll have enough of
Get
the
through it.
brush cleared out to take the onslaught of leaves and things like that?
Yes. Yep, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Ooh, we're chugging along here. We'll move on to, do we want to wait for Joe to do the minutes? He's not coming, so do we want to table them until next week?
We can wait till Joe gets here.
Yeah, we can do them.
Basically-
He's not coming today, so we can do them next week.
Are you asking the board or Jeannie?
I'm asking the board. John had said table them to, I didn't know if
Till Joe
John knew
gets
he
here,
wasn't, he's not coming tonight. So do you want to go over the minutes? We have a few minutes, or do you want to wait until next week?
It's nice to have a full board in case somebody has,
Correct, yeah.
something.
Table it.
Take a motion before to table
I
it.
mentioned it to table
Oh,
it.
you didn't, you just
I
mentioned it.
I know, I made a motion,
You made a motion,
but
okay.
wasn't seconded.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's,
We want to do the,
chairman can just chair table if you want.
well, we can make a
think-
motion.
I'll second it.
So wait a second. All those in favor of tabling the minutes to next week?
Aye.
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 All right, motion passes. Moving on to selectmen's reports. First up is John Scanlon.
Not too much going on, just, seems like everything's going pretty smooth around town. I noticed the DOT was out there doing a lot of surveying today, and then a couple other times I've seen them out there along the river. So they're working on that project. And that's about it.
Just want to let you know that I've noticed as you come down the hill by Chili's, there's the historic downtown Tilton sign, and that whole area is looking very good. So if you happen to see the person that's taking care of that, pass on the good work that they're
Yeah,
doing.
I think we're going to have to check in with them on the lighting on that, a timer.
And I did specifically look last night at the Civil War because I came home in the pouring rain around midnight last night. I did not see a light on.
Okay.
So,
We'll have to-
but I
Oh, I
specifically
forgot
looked.
to ask Kevin about that.
Oh, geez, yeah. Duh. All right. Anything else, John? All right, Pat Constantino.
For the sake of being here very, very late, I just have one thing that we should be, again, caution that the board has asked that we be careful on what we schedule and how we schedule it so that we can get out at a reasonable time. Seems like we're going back into the direction of being very, very late. That's it for me. I've got a lot, but I'll save it to next week.
All right. Scott Ruggles.
Just this in passing over the last week, a couple of folks had mentioned that sound from our meetings from the town hall site isn't great. And I happened to bump into a couple of the police officers. One of them actually mentioned it as well. And they also said that they kind of missed us over here. Not going to make a motion to come back, but just putting it out there that, I definitely know we need to look at sound in terms of town hall, but just something to consider and something to think about. Otherwise, I apologize for my tardiness. I came from practice, thought it was at town hall, then had to go through the middle of town. So
No gold star
a
for
little,
you
yeah,
tonight.
no, a little bit wet too,
Been there.
a little damp. So
Lost.
Give him a green sticker instead of a gold
Yeah.
tonight.
thank heavens for Kim. As I'm passing by Kim, she's like, not here. I'm like, okay, and I'm off.
At least you didn't have to get out that
Quick
far.
U-turn.
We'll give you one of the orange stickers from Market Basket.
I might probably, yeah, like right in the middle of my nose or something. So, yeah, otherwise all set. Thank you.
All right, that's it. All right,
Yes.
Joe Chessman is not here. That leaves me. I'll just remind everyone that we have the charrette coming up. Is that, my math is off? You're shaking your head.
2 weeks from today.
So it was in my report under FYI. I can talk about that now or wait, but as of today, we had 6 people sign up.
Oh, no.
And I had a conversation with the Plan New Hampshire people, and they feel strongly, and I agree, that we need to put this off until we can get the participation we need to make this event worthwhile.
Off?
Yeah. At this point, we would have more of the team members than we have participants.
All right. I won't talk about the Plan New Hampshire charrette. Other than that, I had nothing else to discuss. I was confused about one thing, but that was me, just. But that was just for Tilton North Hills Fire and EMS. I thought that date was the meeting that we had talked, someone had talked about meeting the 2 towns with the Board of Selectmen with the Fire Commission. So I thought it was that date, and I was like, that's the date that they're having their thing, but then I fully read it. So I apologize for being confused and you not knowing about it. So.
State of mind confused lately.
I've had a rough day. All right, I guess we can. Well, we can't move forward Mr. Gallagher's portion of it, so we can go to Jeannie, the town administrator report. We've given you a good fair amount of time.
All right, so there are a couple action items. I did speak with our health officer about what's happening around the state relative to the increase in COVID numbers and wanted her to provide feedback about town hall. I have not spoken to anyone at town hall about this, but I did want to bring it to your attention. Eric, I know you've been asking this every week. Should town hall be masking up again? I did ask her that, and she advised that yes, she believes that we should start masking up again. So don't know if you want to hold off till Joe comes in next week, or if you want to make a decision tonight, or if you want to wait till next week when I've been able to talk to the rest of the town hall staff to see how they feel. Because I have not asked them.
What does the board think?
No, she said yes, like to all employees should wear masks or all people entering town hall.
She said it. She said, that the number of COVID cases in New Hampshire keep going up. I would strongly recommend that our employees wear masks in town hall, even those who are vaccinated, and stay at least 5 feet away.
I'd probably, my own opinion is that hold off until Joe's here next week and give Jeannie a chance to survey the town hall employees. Make a decision next week,
Would that be,
my opinion.
would that be town hall and the PD and the highway, or just town hall?
Would affect it. We go usually town buildings.
Yeah, no, I was just
That
curious.
would be senior center as well.
Public Works.
I would wait until Joe's here. I'm seeing it more and more. I've only seen one business that I go into that they haven't a bank, but they have plastic shields up, but, like a solid wall. So, all right. So we'll wait until Joe's here next week and give you the opportunity to talk to the employees inside town hall.
Okay, the next action item is I sent you via email just so you could take a look at it. It's pretty standard for Homeland Security, where we are having the emergency operations plan updated for Tilton. Last week, you selected the consulting firm who will do that. And Julia Chase from Homeland Security sent off two documents that the board needs to sign. So I don't know if you're ready to sign it tonight. I have the documents here for you to sign, or if you want to look at it for a week.
What was that?
This is the consulting company gave that to, created the document?
No, this is from Homeland Security. Julia Chase, Homeland Security, will be working with Hubbard Consulting to do the emergency operations plan update. And these documents come from Homeland Security. So they are documents we need to sign, and they're just standard documents. Or you
For,
need to
for
sign.
them to do the work?
Yes.
Okay, I got it. I'm ready to do that.
So if you
They're
want to sign.
simple guidelines, correct?
They're just drug-free workplace, that you have a drug-free workplace, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
I have them here. Do you want me to bring them up so you can sign
yeah,
them?
Yeah,
yeah. I think they're
yes, please.
pretty standard type of.
Second, or excuse me, the last action item. I have all board members going to the Tilton Northfield Fire and EMS Service Celebration on Monday, the 27th. I just want to confirm that.
Yes,
Okay.
for me, anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, I've already confirmed through the fire district.
I'm sorry, I don't remember. What time does it start?
There's a social at 5 and dinner's at 6. It's on a Monday night.
Yeah, I can't be there. That's my dormitory duty night.
Okay. All right. FYI,
Good one.
I
We'll be
won't
fine.
go through that, but if anyone has any questions.
I don't have a question on your FYI. I have one question though. When you're ready.
Go ahead. She's ready.
I appreciate, was it Gail that did the budget books? She does them every year. She does such a great job. So I don't know. I turned my binder in last year when we voted ex officio. So I don't have a binder.
Okay, we'll get you one.
I don't mind if it's I don't mind if I just put it in an envelope large enough to do it. I don't need a binder, but just like an envelope would be nice. And then just pull it out because I'll be attending some of the meetings. That would be great.
I happen to have a couple extra binders. I've been going through stuff from many years. Would you like one or?
Yeah,
Okay, have
I
a nice
just, I'll,
binder. I can set
yeah, that
that
would
up
be
with a
good.
binder, reuse it.
Last year I unloaded them all on town hall because I cleaned the porch off.
And now you want them back.
It is what it is. Trying to get rid of things.
From both sides.
Can you just a reminder, what does GASSET mean?
Governor's.
Advisory Council? Okay. Okay, thank you. Wasn't rolling off the tip of my tongue. All right. Some of our what?
Non-publics.
Yeah, so do we have time to take care of some of our non-publics since we seem to be?
Way ahead of schedule. See, you jinxed us, Jim. Jim.
Yeah,
Jim
anytime you'd like to come back when we're.
No, Jim said to me earlier, he said, well, what happens if they're ahead of schedule, will we start? And I said, we're not ahead of schedule.
You did jinx us.
Are you gonna do non-public?
Well, are you ready or is Chief Spicer ready? I don't know. The question is, can we go into non-public and be out by 6:15
I believe
or 6:10
so.
really?
I believe so.
Okay.
45 minutes, 40 minutes.
I don't know. We could, I'm not gonna say anything, but
We can,
don't say it because now you're gonna jinx us even worse. The other way. Mr. Gallagher, you are welcome here anytime because when we have visitors, we tend to be more efficient. But we have a nice outlet mall right over here. There's restaurants, Starbucks, whatever you need. All right, so I guess, do I need to make a motion to go into non-public? All right. Do you want to stay here? Do you want to go? It might be easier just to go into the conference room since we don't have to take it out, put it back. I don't know. But in public session here, I'll make a motion to enter non-public per RSA 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2A, the dismissal. Let me try that again. The dismissal, promotion, or compensation of any public employee or the disciplining of such employee or the investigation of any charges against him or her unless the employee affected, 1, has a right to a public meeting, and 2, requests that the meeting be open, in which case the request shall be granted. We expect to be back into into public session at approximately 6:10.
second,
Second by Pat. Roll call vote.
Constantino, yes.
Ira, yes.
Ruggles, yes.
Scanlon, yes.
We are in non-public session at 5:28 p.m.
This conference will now be recorded.
I'd like to make a motion to seal the minutes of the non-public session of September 9th, 2021, because the reasons justifying the need for the non-public session still remain.
Ruggles, second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. And we are back. We're back in session at 6:18. So I apologize, Mr. Mitchell, for us running a few minutes late. We're here to discuss the Conservation Commission Chair, Chuck Mitchell, discussing the mitigation efforts for the New Hampshire DOT slope project. So the floor is yours, Mr. Mitchell.
Okay, thank you very much. Before we get further, I want you to know that I was in touch today with Erin Mills, who's the Senior Environmental Manager at DOT. She informed me that the project is still in the queue to be done in the year 2022, but they have not yet quite settled on a final design pending a report from the surveyors. And also that once that's done, then the design engineers. Once the design has been finalized, they have agreed to get back in touch with the commission and for a time to set up to meet and to review the project. I also informed her that the Winnipesaukee River is usually lowered during the month of October, and that might be the best time for any work to be done along in the river. She also indicated that the reason that they were planning on doing so much fill in the embankment because they wanted to create a space where they could anchor and install a new guardrail. When you think about what's there now, and so that kind of is anyway. And what I am concerned about, and I'm sure others will be too, is that if they add enough fill to expand the area between the current road out to the river, that's going to narrow the river and therefore affect the flow. So with regard to mitigation, during my telephone conversation with her, by the way, which has also been heard by the Secretary of the Conservation Commission, she also twice said that she's not sure that mitigation would be required. Well, I know what the state requires with a minimum number of feet somewhere in the 200 feet, and this is 520. However, she was also not suggesting that mitigation would necessarily be required, so we're going to have to deal with that. So now getting down to mitigation, because that was the reason I was here. I just wanted to review briefly. There are 4 types of mitigation. Number 1 is in upland buffers, the preservation and the surrounding of upland areas and undeveloped conditions. And of course, that doesn't really apply here. And then restoration, fill, and replanting hydric plants, and to restore hydrology by removing ditches and drains, and stream restoration, removing aquatic barriers such as dams, culverts, and to bring back the river environment, daylight buried streams, remove the hard and armoring, and using bioengineering to establish banks and so forth. And then enhancement, a target of a specific improvement such as the perched culvert, which may be upgraded to an open arch to enhance the passage of fish and so forth. And then the establishment of wetlands, which is not really being done these days. When you look at those criteria and then try to take a look at the list of priorities, which we have already have been presented to us, and also a part of a couple of people who've already responded in addition to the Conservation Commission, I have a list of 11 things here. And when you look at some of these, you will be able to see that there are a few, and I'm not sure, as an example, as much as it would be nice to have a fishing area put out into the river, I'm not sure that under the qualifications which are required by the state that would necessarily be acceptable. I mean, a fishing pier goes out into the river, but not necessarily, if anything, that might inhibit the flow of the river as well, if anything were to be placed into the river, unless it would be done over the river. So as you look down this list, I guess we are at a point now where I think our plans to have an open hearing, which we were thinking about at our meeting in later in September, I think we need to delay that a little bit until we get a final plan that comes forth from the state. Also, I was told today by Aaron that in addition to the final plan and all that they would need to do all their applications. And I think they will end up with applications not only with shoreline, but also with wetlands, because when you are interfering with the outside area of a stream or a river, that would be a shoreline permit. Then once you get into the river, which would be what they would be doing by placing in a lot of fill, that would be with wetlands. I did share with her the concern about the island and the change of flow in the river. She assured me that the hydrology of the river would be looked at. I suggested to her that would be nice if the boulders could be placed back up or around the island, and she took a note of that and said that she enjoyed her lunch at a picnic table on the island while she was here. And I said that was a top priority pretty much of the town at this point. We are also have not done a major issue yet of contacting the other people. In the original letter that came out from DOT, it included the fire department, the planning board, and other various interested parties. At this point, we have not done a specific reach out to any of those folks yet on what their issues were for priorities for mitigation. When I mentioned mitigation today, again, as I said, she twice mentioned she's not sure they'll have to. And I think that in the long term, it would be beneficial for the town of Tilton to have some priorities for mitigation, not only for this project, but for other future projects that would come along. So at this point, I guess I'm open to see if there's anyone or the board would have any items that they would like to add to the list, because you have a list of, I believe here, of what were the priorities, and those that are in bold are ones that have basically been recommended by at least 2 members of the select board, and the ones that were suggested already by the Conservation Commission.
I sent you a list this morning. I think you got it, maybe, because I see some of the things I put in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And at this point, if there's nothing else to add to this tonight, after hearing my little spiel or whatever, I would request that if any members of the select board have any other priorities that they might have, to go ahead and forward those to us. And I think the best thing to do is, before we finalize this whole list, which may very well be several months from now, we could then do an open hearing. We could invite others to attend.
Pat, do you have anything?
No,
John?
I
No,
concurred
I
with
can see-
John's list.
Some of the things that
Yeah.
I've mentioned are in there, so.
Scott?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
I think John's, yours are all included there.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think notification to the fire department was mostly due to traffic during the project.
I would imagine so. I mean, the big question is going to be is ultimately, what kind of equipment are they going to have in the road?
Yeah.
If that road were ever to be narrowed down to one lane, that would not only impact fire, but it would impact police and a lot of
Yeah.
things.
Yep.
I mean, I was trying to visualize in many years ago, not everyone here will necessarily remember that, but when the river was really down and they did work, they actually had equipment down in the river.
That'd be the best place for it.
Yeah, well, if they were down in the river, they could easily, with the proper types of equipment, move around some of those boulders and pieces of rock near the island and set those back in place. But, here again, we're at kind of waiting now at this point for not only New Hampshire DOT, but their environmental specialists to come up with some suggestions. I think it was quite premature for them to have sent that letter out in the first place, given that I was told today by her that even a wetlands permit has up to 115 days, and they were originally projecting to get that project done by this October. So I have, I mean, the fact is, this won't get done, I don't think, until at least next October. And the thinking that if they schedule it with a contractor during a period which might be high rains, I couldn't imagine what would happen to that river.
That is true.
So,
I agree
All right.
with you.
any other questions?
Well, thank you for staying on
Yeah.
top of it.
Thank you.
Well,
Appreciate it.
I'm staying in touch with her, and Erin seems very cooperative, so I will let you know and keep you informed with any future communications.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank
Thank
you.
Appreciate it.
welcome.
Wow. That we are. We're,
Don't say it.
well, we are. Oh, Tim.
Tim? Tim, are you there?
I'm here.
There you go.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you just mouse over the screen, select the green share button. And go ahead and, yep. And then the only other thing I would, you want to select, it's already running in the taskbar there, not the orange one, but the other. Just bring it up.
I just have to make my little announcement. All right. So the time being 6:30, I'd like to open the public meeting on Silver Lake. Presentation by Jim Gallagher from the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services. My understanding is that Mr. Gallagher has a half-hour presentation, after which we will open the meeting for discussion and questions.
May I just recommend, if you don't already, maybe to close the panel that's showing the people viewing the meeting, just to give you more screen real estate. But otherwise, it looks like you're all set. Let me know if you need anything,
Don't
Jim.
do that one. Don't do that one. Cancel.
Close the panel.
I think the dot's on the top left.
It's
Down below that.
It's an X to the right of the three dots.
We're here. Over
No,
here? No.
no, because that ends the meeting. Yeah, there we
There
go.
we go.
Look at that.
Great.
Super. Okay.
All right, thank you very much, and thank you, Tim, for the help on the AV side. My name is Jim Gallagher. I'm Chief of the Dam Bureau for the Department of Environmental Services. With me today is Ken Finmore, who's the Assistant Chief of the Dam Bureau, and Dan Matani, who is the head of our Operation and Maintenance section in the Dam Bureau. And Dan is the one really who sort of day-to-day operates the dams on the Winnipesaukee River with the help of the operator who actually lives at Lakeport Dam. But Dan gives him the direction that he needs to help manage the flows in the river. This meeting came about, I think you were on an email from one of the residents of Silver Lake, Paul Connell, complaining about high lake levels in Silver Lake over the course of the summer. They are high. It's a problem. It's been a problem for years and years and years, as I'll explain. And certainly with the weather we had this year, it was an extraordinary amount of rain in July and August that contributed to it. But I'm going to talk about the physical problem, some solutions, and what we have done in the interim to help the folks down there on Silver Lake. Damn, it's not scrolling down.
Jim, if you just click somewhere in the presentation and then you should be able to go from there.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. So here is, a Google map view of the river system upstream of Silver Lake at Poggets Bay, which is on the other side of the weirs from Lake Winnipesaukee, our dam on Lakeport, impounds Poggets Bay and Lake Winnipesaukee. Avery Dam in Laconia impounds Peachy, and that's a state-owned dam. And Lockmere Dam, which impounds Lake Winnisquam, another state-owned dam, feeds down into Silver Lake at the bottom. Close up of Silver Lake here. Just a second here, see if I can center this a little bit better. The thing I'd like here to sort of pay attention to, so upper part of the screen, you see the channel coming into Lakeport Dam, discharging into the upper end of Silver Lake. And the outlet of Silver Lake is a natural channel. There's no dam on Silver Lake. But you can see in this Google picture, Tioga Marsh there at the end of Silver Lake, but it looks like a fair amount of sedimentation at the outlet of the lake, and that's the issue. For water to get out of Silver Lake, lake level has to rise to push that water that comes into it out of it because of that channel restriction. Silver Lake itself, let's see. Silver Lake itself is relatively shallow. I mean, it's got a hole, it's about 20 feet deep at its deepest, but the average depth is only about 6 feet. This is a bathymetric survey that's done as part of our lake assessment program that we're doing just about all the lakes in the state. And these are some physical characteristics that, again, come out of that lake assessment report. And what's very interesting to me about this is the flushing rate of Silver Lake. So if you see that's 400 times a year, so that's more than once a day that lake gets completely flushed out. It's so small, it's got a lot of flow coming into it. And to give you a comparison, Lake Winnipesaukee, that takes 5 years for essentially the volume of that water to be fully evacuated. I think at Winnisquam, it takes about 6 months for that water to evacuate. But here at Silver Lake, because of its size and because of the large drainage area that feeds into it, it gets flushed out every day, actually more frequently than every day. Watershed, again, it's 466 square miles. Good bit of it is controlled by Lake Winnipesaukee. I'd say probably about 3/4 of it is, but there's a fair drainage area below Lake Winnipesaukee that includes the drainage area into Lake Winnisquam and the Silver Lake itself. And we do control, the water coming out of Lake Winnipesaukee with the Lakeport Dam. Our operator lives up there. There's a hydropower plant as well. We control Avery Dam. We lease that out to a hydropower operator and his operations. We dictate his operations so that we have, the water that we need downstream. And there's also an operator, a hydropower operator, at Lockmere Dam, and we coordinate the releases with him as well. He can only discharge about 1,000 cubic feet per second through his hydropower plant. So we need to release more. We have to go out and operate the gate on the dam itself. But the big point is that this whole 466 square mile watershed is like a big funnel that drains into Little Silver Lake, which, Silver Lake itself is only 0.31 square miles, about 200 acres. And we get about 44 inches of rain a year in the watershed. About half of that is runoff. And that comes out, if you work out the numbers, it's like 200 trillion gallons of water comes through Silver Lake in a year. So any water that runs off on that whole watershed has to make its way out to Silver Lake. And the issue is the restriction in that channel. So we could release with the gates that we have up at Lake Winnipesaukee and at Winnisquam, we could release 4,000 cubic feet per second out of that lake. But the problem is at Silver Lake, because of the restriction in that outlet channel, we can only get about 2,000 cubic feet per second through there without causing flooding. This is a rating curve, what we call a rating curve. It's lake elevation versus flow that comes into Silver Lake. It kind of indicates just how sensitive the lake is to the flow. Again, if we were to discharge 4,000 CFS, which was done, I think, might have been a big flood event, I think in '84, that caused not only flooding in Silver Lake, but in Franklin and Tilton. Caused certainly a lot of damage. But at 2,000 CFS, you see, we're a little bit over 467. At 467, Silver Lake is unique in that there's a statute that says when that elevation at Silver Lake gets to 467, Marine Patrol automatically sets a no-wake zone for the whole lake. And at elevation 468, we start getting flooding around houses, maybe not into the houses themselves, but certainly all the way around some of the low-lying properties on Silver Lake. So that's a really constraint to operation. And again, it's due to the configuration of the outlet channel. The dams upstream and our operation of the dams upstream have provided some benefit to the folks at Silver Lake. You see this red line is what we call a elevation duration curve without the dams, and the green line is an elevation duration curve without the dams. And you can see, particularly on this low end here, at Winnipesaukee, we're required to release 250 cubic feet per second at a minimum flow. And that provides the folks at Silver Lake with a benefit, and that operation keeps that lake level up a lot longer than it would. So you see here where these two curves start diversion is at around 60% of the time. So but for that minimum release that we make out of those upstream dams, Silver Lake would be down, but a lot lower than it normally is maintained for about 30% of the time. So that's a benefit. And we also benefit. There's a benefit on the high end as well, with capturing, to the extent that we can, high flows and storing them in those upper lakes, the Winnipesaukee, Winnisquam, and even Peachy Bay. We shave off the amount of time the water would be, flooding the lake from, so you could see, but for the operation of the dams, the folks would be flooded 5% of the time. We were able to knock that down to about 1% of the time with the operation of our dams. But, you know, Silver Lake does get high just about every year. This is, let me get the coordinate here. You know, this is, we've got a, you know, about 50, 40 years of record here, plotting, you know, the maximum elevation at Silver Lake each year. And you can see, I guess it was 84 when it get up there to 471. There was a couple of other years that get high as well. We had that flooding in 98 and flooding in 2006 as well. Generally speaking, over the past few years, we have been able to keep the level down below 468 with our operations, and, you know, at the expense of, you know, perhaps, you know, higher elevations on Lake Winnipesaukee. And then this year, we had a peak of like 467 for just a short time. It's only about a matter of a few days, I think, at the end of July, that required that no wake zone be maintained. Now, this again has been a issue that's gone, you know, it dates way back into the 50s. I mean, in terms of looking at solutions, the problem's always been there. The Corps of Engineers started looking at potential solutions way back in the 50s. And this is a number of studies that have been done on the lake. Probably the most recent and most complete is the September 1985 study done by the Corps of Engineers at, you know, fair expense to the federal government, looking at what can be done on the whole Winnipesaukee River in terms of operating the lakes differently and modifications to the river downstream that would relieve some of this, you know, the flooding issues. And so, you know, what the Corps concluded was the Winnipesaukee River does not have sufficient discharge capacity to handle the releases from Lakeport Dam. And that is largely, there were a number of constrictions on the Winnipesaukee River, but none as bad as the one at Silver Lake. So down in Franklin, back in the 80s, when this study was done, there were, you know, bridge constrictions. There were some other constrictions that have since been eliminated. Those restrictions constrained us to release in only about 3,500 CFS. But again, at the worst constriction is at Silver Lake, you know, which does limit us to about 2,000 CFS before we start causing some flooding. After a storm, Lake Winnipesaukee, it only takes, so if we get 5 inches of runoff, it'll raise that lake up, Lake Winnipesaukee, 2 feet. Now, it's not 5 inches of rain, it's runoff. And if you look at it on an annual basis, about half the rain that falls turns into runoff. That ratio changes in the wintertime and in the fall and in the spring before the vegetation comes out, and you can get about 70% of the rain turn into runoff. In the summertime, it may be 25 to 30%. But so the problem is when we get a heavy rain, we try to store it in Winnipesaukee to the extent that we can without causing, you know, inlake flooding at Winnipesaukee. But the threshold at Winnipesaukee for flooding is less than is at Silver Lake. If you start getting that lake up 7 inches above full, you start flooding property around Lake Winnipesaukee. So again, the challenge is once we get an event, it does fill up the storage we have in Lake Winnipesaukee. Have successive events, then we're in real trouble. We have no available storage, and that water has to be passed downstream, which does cause the flooding in Silver Lake and other places. So you can see, and this is a breakdown based on 1984 price level of the flooding damage that would occur during the 50-year event, which has a 2% chance of happening in any year, and the 100-year event, which has a 1% chance of happening in 500 event. And you can see the flood damages largely occur in Lake Winnipesaukee. You know, it's the large lake, you know, more properties, you know, perhaps, you know, more expensive properties. Silver Lake, though, also suffers flood damages during those events. But the bulk of it is up in Lake Winnipesaukee. So, you know, the Corps back in 1985 recommended all sorts of channel improvements, all the way from, actually upstream of Lakeport Dam, some minor dredging upstream of Lakeport Dam, all the way down through Franklin. And it included about 176,000 cubic yards of dredging along the reach, and the total, and also some bridge improvements, but again, that have been made since then. But at Silver Lake specifically, they recommended dredging the channel by 4 feet. But if you dredge that channel by 4 feet, certainly you're going to have now the discharge capacity to pass the flood flows. But the recreation value of Silver Lake would go down dramatically. Essentially, it could be during low flows like the 250 cubic feet per second that would be released during the summertime would not maintain a very high elevation at all if that channel is dredged out by 4 feet. So not only would we dredge it, but then we would also build a 4.5 foot high dam with a bottom hitch gate that could fall down during high flow events to allow us to pass that increased flow. And back in 1985, that cost estimate for the work would be $1.8 million. And the Corps recommended, again, this was a conceptual level study, but the Corps recommended that the dam be constructed, the channel would be dredged, I think about 2,800 feet downstream of Route 140 and about 3,200 feet upstream of Route 140, and the dam itself would be built just downstream of Route 140. It's just again, 1985, a conceptual sketch of what that dam would look like. You can see the bottom hinge there, concrete base, and the bottom hinge. Now, technology has changed. I mean, and, you see some of these applications around the country for this purpose. And some of them use these bottom hinge gates. Others use these rubber bladder dams as well that can be deflated and provide the channel that we need to discharge, the flow that we need to discharge. The legislatures also recognized the problem back in 1971. They enacted RSA 48252, which authorizes the investigations that were done of conditions affecting the use and enjoyment of Silver Lake, but also authorized the construction of a dam at the outlet structure and make channel improvements when funds are available. And then most recently in 2007, the legislature passed that act that requires Marine Patrol to institute a no wake order when water level at Silver Lake gets to 467. And that's unique. I mean, they're the only lake, I think, in the state that has that sort of automatic no wake zone when the lake level gets to a certain elevation. Also, after the flooding, actually after the flooding in '98, the legislature enacted RSA 483D, which established this Winnipesaukee River Advisory Committee. And you see the committee members there. The idea was all the folks who had interests in the lake. We got our elected officials, member from the Silver Lake Association, the hydropower folks who are that have interests all up and down the Winnipesaukee River, marine trades, the folks, the boating folks, the Lakes Association, and some expertise in hydrologic modeling. Not only established this committee, but directed DES and provided funding for DES to develop a model for managing, computer models to managing the flow in the Winnipesaukee River with input from this committee. Back in 2010, though, the legislature reviewed all the standing committees that the elected officials were involved in and abolished the advisory committee along with many other committees in the state. But it was a great resource for us. We objected to it. The Department of Environmental Services objected to the abolishment of this advisory committee because it was a great forum for us to, like when we were in drought, to get all the interests together and develop a management plan. And it certainly was a big help in the development of our model. So we did complete the task of that was established in that legislation in developing a computer model that helps us forecast floods in the Winnipesaukee River. We get, with this computer model we have, we automatically get the data from all the rain gauges in the basin, the radar information, the quantitative precipitation forecasts that come out from the Weather Service, able to ingest that into a rainfall runoff model that keeps track of the vegetation in the basin that really affects runoff, the soil moisture conditions, whether snow is present, and then computes based on the rainfall and based on the the soil conditions, of what I call runoff conditions, determines what the flows in the river are going to be. This is a schematic of the sort of our whole system, where we have our gauging stations off to the left, our rainfall gauges scattered around the basin. That data gets automatically transmitted to the satellite. We have a ground receive station at DES that collects all that data on a real-time basis, goes into our database. We also collect information from the USGS, the US Geological Survey gauges in the watershed, and again, with the future quantitative precipitation forecast. Our models plots out what the inflow is going to be. There's opportunity for us to provide manual data entry into there in terms of what we may want to be doing with the reservoirs. And then a big component is this public real-time data web page, so that folks, the whole watershed, can find out what's going on in the watershed, what the lake levels are, where we're releasing. And let me just walk you through some of the components. This is our network of rainfall gauges. We have them located in not only in the Winnipesaukee River watershed, but other watersheds where we have a lot of dams that we have to manage. And I should say, Dan's job is to manage over 200 state-owned dams on a daily basis. So we have these rain gauges scattered around where we have most of our dams. And then these are the gauges that we get in the Winnipesaukee River. Basically, we measure the outflow. This is the flume upstream of Lakeport Dam on the left. The lake level is really measured at the weirs. That's up in the upper right-hand corner. Winnisquam, we have a lake level gauge. All these have precipitation gauges as well on them. And the Silver Lake gauge, which is downstream of Lockmere Dam. You see all of them got those little antennas that are pointing to the satellite to direct the data up to the satellite. I think we get them like every 15 minutes, the data reported every hour. And our ground receive station, we used to send the data used to get sent to NOAA's Wallops Island station down in Virginia. We would have communication problems sometimes during flood events, so we got our own ground receive station outside of our office there in Concord. And again, we import the information the Weather Service puts out every day on the quantitative precipitation forecast. This is a 72-hour forecast. This was downloaded today. You see, we're supposed to get about anywhere from a ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch in the basin. This particular storm that's coming through now is largely affecting the coast and really the coast of down East Maine. And with that, this is an output of the model. It takes that rainfall forecast. The green lines on these chart is actually a timestamp. But this captured this morning, and you can see that what the forecasted precipitation is, the green on top, snow water equivalent. We don't have any snow. Air temperature, that gets figured into when inflow when we do have snow. And then you see this output here, which is the flow forecast for the inflow into Lake Winnipesaukee. And it does then also, computes how the lake was going to behave in terms of, inflow and pool elevation with that forecasted inflow. But another component is, the operation component. So what? So we know what flow's coming in. What do we do about it? here, this is again a screen capture of our operation models. And what we did here for this run is say that at the end of the week, we want those lake levels. We want Silver Lake to be where it is now. We want Lake Winnipesaukee level to be where it is right now. And with that, the model tells us what we should be releasing at each of the dams, at Lakeport, at Avery, at Lockman. And this is, what it's telling us to do over the next week. Be releasing, actually more than we are right now, and stepping it down over the course of the week. Again, we use this as guidance. There's some other, issues that we've got to weigh in making our decisions of what we're going to release. But this is an important tool for to guide us. Same sort of thing. The other big component that I wanted to make you aware of is this what we do to reach out to the public in terms of letting them know what's going on. So if you get on the DES webpage, and this is the homepage, the new homepage for the DES's website, and you select this option here, rivers and lake levels, it brings you to this page where we have on all these bases you see here, we have these flood forecasting models and gauges. So if you want to, if you're particularly interested in Winnipesaukee, that's that brown one in the middle. You click on that. It brings you to the map of the basin, and those green spots are where we have gauges with information. You click on the Lake Winnipesaukee icon there, and you get the real time. This is what Lake Winnipesaukee is doing today. You can see now we are below our summer full level. We were, above full just a month ago, but we were able to get it down. You see the hourly precipitation as well. And discharge is what we're doing in terms of, discharge flow. Right now, we're releasing about 600 cubic feet per second. We're going to be reducing that over the next couple of days. The one I skipped over, Winnisquam, click on that. See where Winnisquam now is. Winnisquam is operated within about a 7-inch band. That maroon line is sort of where it normally is this time of year. The blue line where it's actually is just below the normal, upper level. We're kind of right in the middle of the band, which is kind of where we want to be. And Silver Lake, too. So the folks on Silver Lake can see what the lake level is. And not only the folks who live in there, but folks who may be remote, may not live there, might be their vacation home, but they can monitor what's going on at Silver Lake just, through our website. And then Dan, time he's making a change, Dan posts up there what he's going to do. Where the lakes are then, and any operational changes he's going to make, he posts there so people can see what's going on. And in this particular case, we are dropping Silver Lake down about 7 inches. Folks can then react to that, in terms of moving their boats if they need to. If they're, and make other adjustments. What we also do for Silver Lake, and again, this is unique to the folks at Silver Lake, is we've set up this, sort of that reverse 911 with them. And so we have a lot of participants. Current enrollment is 47 folks get phone messages from us whenever we make a change that would that we expect Silver Lake to rise or fall. If we make a change, we let them know by phone messages, by email, and by text. And actually, because of this meeting that we had with the association back 6-7 weeks ago, Dan, I think we've changed that threshold to 4 inches. So yeah, again, so they know. We reach out to them in advance of the operation, so they know, and if they need to make a change, again, with the location of their boats, they have time to do it. This summer, it was high, and that's where we get the complaints, but we did get over 12 inches of rain in July, which is the wettest July on record in some parts of the state. It's nearly triple the normal monthly rainfall we get of 4.5 inches. And so all the inflows to all the lakes was like 3 times normal. And Winnipesaukee peaked at 5 inches above full, which is a problem. Again, at 7 inches above full, there's some properties that start getting flooded. And so we needed to work to get that lake down. So the releases from Lake Winnipesaukee were high from mid-July all through August, and now they're now just ramping down to the normal summer flows. And this is a chart. Again, this is also on our website, so people can see how we have operated Winnipesaukee over the whole year. The rainfall that we've got in the middle is the inflow and outflow. Outflow being the green line, inflow being the purple line, and lake level. And you can see the lake level, the minimum is plotted in the dashed line. Out of the dashed line at the top is the maximum for this period of record. And again, the record goes back to 1982. The blue line is the for that day. The shaded blue area is the standard deviation around that meeting. But you can see how Winnipesaukee jumped up so much at the at the end of July. We were in the beginning of August, and then, like I say, we were 5 inches above full, and we were a foot above where we normally are that time of year. And so it's really a danger. We get a big flood event, there's no place to store it. It all has to go downstream. So we worked hard, and you see releasing 1,000. We got it up to about 1,500 to drive the lake level down to where it normally is. And so right now it's, I think, only about 3 inches above where it normally is this time of year. And I think we got like 7 inches of storage, which is good, because we are still in hurricane season. So that's the presentation I wanted to, make to you folks in response to, the emails you got. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Everyone have
Bless you.
any questions?
Anybody online?
Is there, yeah, I can't see. Tim, is there anyone online? I don't know if Tim is still there.
I am here. There's one other person online.
Does that person wish to make any comments? Can't see who they are.
I don't know if you've heard, so we had this presentation, we made this presentation about 7 weeks ago, shortly after we got the, you get the email and we try to set up a joint meeting with you folks. As a result of that meeting, with some elected officials there, local state reps, and they gone on to the dredging and dam solution, and looking through, actually, I think they're meeting at 7 o'clock. I think that's why, the state rep had to leave there today. They're meeting with the Belknap County commissioners about proposing to use some ARPA money to do the design of the dam, to do, an evaluation of the environmental and cultural resource impacts, a feasibility study, and actually the design of the dam and the channel modifications. As I understand it, though, I think final decision might be postponed to September 26th. They might be meeting again with them in September 26th, but so that's that's something to we're going to be keeping track of.
The dredging, that information is what, 36 years old?
It is, you're right. No, that's
So, I
good.
mean,
Yeah.
could it be today that they would have to dredge 8 feet? I mean,
Very, very good question. Yes, more. That's right. So that graph that I showed you of discharge versus elevation, that was based on data that goes back, that was done in 2012. I can tell you now that we've seen further sedimentation, because now we discharge just 2,000, it gets up to 468. So yeah, that sedimentation has increased, and you can see changes in that curve again from the 85 report to work that was done later to work that I did in 2012 to now, and that's the result of sedimentation. So yeah, it would be a little more, not necessarily lateral extent, but there's more sediment to get down to the invert that we need to get it down to. Yep.
But some of that sediment acts almost as a natural dam to keep the lake level.
It keeps the lake, that's right. It does keep the lake there. So without it,
Yeah.
that lake would be dry.
It'd almost be, it's like a double-edged sword.
Yeah, it is.
bad.
That's
It's
why
bad, but it's good.
Yeah, that's why you would need the dam if you were to dredge that channel. You would need a dam to keep the pool level where it is to, again, keep the, the recreational value of the lake.
I'm gonna go spend some time on the internet tonight.
Right, well, without the dam, if you didn't have the dam. Yeah, it's not just dredging solves the problem of channel capacity and being able to use the full capacity of Lakeport Dam to get the water out of Winnipesaukee and downstream. But you can't, if you did just dredge and not build a dam, then the value of folks around Silver Lake is far less, yeah.
Excuse me. May I just note for those in the room that you need to use a microphone or else you can't be heard.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, Dan.
There's a microphone right here if we want to. Oh, that's Jeannie's phone. I thought Jeannie. It's on. Just have to talk into it.
Sure. Sorry about that. Very briefly, if you did have the dam, during the summer times, during the low flow conditions down the river, you could maintain whatever water level you wanted. So even if you did the dredging, you would still maintain your water level in the lake. Also, during flooding conditions, you could release more water than you ordinarily would be able to without the dredging in the dam. And in that case, what would happen is you wouldn't have the high water anywhere near the high water you have now during high flow conditions.
What would the negative impacts be?
Yeah, so, when it was proposed, the resource agencies, a little on the fence about it then, back in the 80s. I mean, they might not feel the same now, but there's still concerns. Anytime you dredge, there's an issue with, the fisheries. There would be an issue here with two of the fisheries, fish passage issues, perhaps. The fact that it's a hinge gate and we could be completely lowered, maybe you'll be able to overcome that. But, you lose the benthic organisms when you do the dredging. They'll recolonize, but how often? It is going to change the hydrology a little bit, and there was some sensitivity to the effects of that, the change in hydrology on the valuable wetlands in the Tioga Marsh. And cultural resources is also a real issue. That's this whole river, particularly from like Silver Lake on upstream. There's a lot of evidence of Native American settlements, including in Silver Lake itself. And there's some feeling, in the area of the proposed dredging that there may be cultural resources that get uncovered. So that would all have to be investigated, evaluated, coordinated with the resource agencies and mitigated. And, and dredge disposal is an issue too. At the time the Corps did their work, they did do some characterization of the material to be dredged and found that it's not likely to contain contaminants, but detection limits are different now. There's, I guess suspect there's going to be the contaminants associated with road runoff, these, these polyaromatic hydrocarbons, might be, so that might be an issue as well. And then we're going to dispose of it. It's, back in 85, they estimated 36,000 cubic feet of sediment just in this area that would need to get taken out, and that have to be disposed of. At the time, they felt there might be even a market for that material, maybe so. But all those things would have to be looked at in a feasibility study and design.
Would that increase the amount of flow downstream during high rain events so that they could actually open up that dam or both dams a little more and lower the levels quicker? Would that affect downstream that they would seeing a higher velocity and more flow?
They would see, that'd be the idea, to see more flow. Those areas downstream that were problematic back in the 80s, 70s, 80s, some of them have been modified. And so we would still not release, we probably would not release water to its full capacity. The idea of the dredging here at Silver Lake would allow us to release 4,000. There's still problem areas downstream in Franklin and Tilton. Problem areas when the flows get to 3,500. So that would probably be a new constraint, but that's still a huge help in not allowing us to evacuate Winnipesaukee faster when we get big events to fill it up. Thank you. Thanks for the time. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Gallagher, for taking the time to speak with us tonight. And also thank you to Representative Harvey for facilitating this meeting, even though she had to leave early.
Was there somebody else online?
Is there someone else online?
I
If
see
you
three.
speak, no, on the little people there, can we click on those?
Three.
Tim,
Tim, I think, is one of them, and then it could be the town administrator one.
Abe.
Abe.
Yeah, I think he's
Lieutenant
moderating.
Gilman,
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
We're back on.
Well, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I was
So this presentation will be
damn
on
good subject.
this video can be viewed again in the future if anyone.
Yeah, this video of this meeting.
And all that.
Yeah.
Great.
And all that information.
Yeah, you can go back and look at the website. I'm sure Tim will make it happen.
It'll be up tomorrow.
Tim, is there a way to segment out that section of the video just to make it its own presentation, or did we have to start and stop it before? Sorry, I saw that look.
No, I have a crick in my neck after that question. No, of course, it's entirely possible. Yes.
I'm not asking. I just,
Yep.
it'd be
No, I can split that out as a separate presentation. Yep.
All right. Excellent. All right. So do we know if Chief Pizer is ready for us? All right. So I'll make a motion to go back into non-public session for RSA 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2A, the dismissal, promotion, or compensation of any public employee, or the disciplining of such employee, or the investigation of any charges against him or her, unless the employee affected, 1, has a right to a public meeting, and 2, requests that the meeting be open, in which case the request shall be granted. We expect to be back into public session at approximately 8 p.m. maybe? 8 p.m. Do I have a second?
Second,
Second by Pat Constantino. Roll call vote.
Constantino, yes.
Pyra, yes.
Ruggles, yes.
Scanlon, yes.
We are in non-public session at 7:13.
This conference will now be recorded.